Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Mike Garcia with the BDA podcast. And today on our podcast, we have a very special guest. We have Mr. Celso Gonzalez, who is the public address announcer, educator, referee, father, right? Most importantly, we should put that, I'll reorder that. Father, right? Educator and sports announcer. So, Celso, thank you for coming on, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you
so much, man. So, I know the weather isn't the best, and so I appreciate you coming out. I know we were trying to schedule this for a while, so it was kind of back and forth. So I'm glad we were able to make it.
Yes, sir.
To make it work, man. So we could.
The weather could be bad, but you know what? Inside it's warm.
Yeah. True that,
so
man.
It's perfect. Thank you for having me.
Yes, for sure. So how's everything, man? How's the year? Let's just start there, man. How's the year?
Coming off of COVID, it's very difficult to be an educator. It was tough times, but like the old saying, only the strong survive.
That's right.
And that's what we did, and we unified. And as far as education, I've been in it this is my 37th year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you don't see that too often now with the younger generation. It's tough to be teaching.
Right.
It's tough to be a teacher today. Right. But hopefully, what I want to do is to pass on some good characteristics to the new teachers that are coming on, and hopefully that they'll love it just as much as I did.
Yeah, man, it's great. You were a teacher when I was at Memorial. I didn't have you for any classes, but I remember vividly seeing you in the hallway because there was just something about you, man, and I can tell you. You were easy to talk to. Maybe I didn't know you personally. I didn't have you for class, but I know when you were out there, you were kind of a leader in the hallway, man. So I don't know. I'll just share that with you, so man. That was something.
It's
was
still
around
happening
there.
right
That's
now.
awesome.
I just love kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this age group. It doesn't matter who's in high school. It's just the age group and the behaviors. And we try to, mold and model these young people to be productive citizens. And look what we have.
Yeah, no, man. Thank you.
You're very productive.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk, man. Let's give everybody a background. I definitely want to talk about the announcing that I think we saw that in the McAllen ISD, in the school district, and we're definitely going to go there. But let's give everyone kind of a history. I'm curious too, man, kind of the background.
Okay.
So, like growing up, where are you from, man? What did it look like as a child? Do you have siblings? You're the youngest. Are you the black sheep middle child? What's the
okay?
What's the deal?
I am the youngest of three boys.
The prince.
Yes, and my mom and dad. God rest their soul, but we were living in Corpus at the time. I'm originally from Benavides.
Oh,
my parents are from Benavides, Duval County.
Okay,
and so my dad, after World War II, settled there. Got into the oil business, Roughneck or whatever, and got a job in Robstown at a oil refinery, City Service Oil Company. And in 1968, we were living in Corpus at the time. He got a promotion, and I'm not. This is not in any bad way,
right.
But he got hired to be the bookkeeper or the clerk of the oil company.
Nice.
At this plant. And for a Mexicano in 1968 to get an office job, that was big.
Wow.
So I was in the second grade, and back then we didn't have Google. We had the World Book Encyclopedia.
That's right.
And he said, "We are moving to Knox City, Texas." I go, "Knox City, Texas." Second grade.
Yeah.
I went straight to the World Book Encyclopedia. The T for Texas, and it's up north of Abilene.
Okay.
I said, I cried.
Yeah.
I cried and cried, but you know what? Probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
You're nice.
I have about 10 lifelong friends that we meet at least 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Still.
Nice.
And this is, we're in the 60s now.
Yeah.
And but I was raised in North Texas. And have you ever been to North Texas, West Texas? In March, they have sandstorms.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the sandstorm, but I said, nope.
Yeah.
All my friends went to Tech.
Yeah.
I said, nope, I'm going to go to University of Texas. And I loved it. My oldest brother, one of my older brothers, the middle boy, he went to Texas. My oldest went to Tech.
Nice.
So I could compare, but, Austin, And I was a rock and roller.
Yeah,
I love
man.
rock and roll. And, it was a mecca for music.
And art. I think for music and art,
live
right?
music,
Yeah.
it is the capital, world capital for live music. You can, any venue, anytime. But
Yeah.
graduated from the University of Texas. And at that time, I was loving life. I wasn't really, I was in pre-med for about 3.5 years, and then I said, no,
Yeah.
I can't do that. So I got a degree in biology, and I said, you know what? I need to do something with it. I was about 3 years in Austin and, paycheck to paycheck like everybody else. And I was going to move back to my hometown, get my certification because it was in the biology again, and teach.
Yeah.
And that was in 1986. And a buddy of mine got married here in June, one of my fraternity brothers.
Yeah.
And in July, he got hired with Mission ISD. And he said, hey, if you have a degree, they will work with you.
Yeah.
So I came down, got hired, went to Travis Middle School for 3 years, from 86 to 89. And then, God will. Everything fell in place, and I became the golf coach at Memorial High School, and I've been there ever since.
Dude, that's awesome. So you had the experience through middle school, coming right back here. I want to go back to school. You talked about your father getting that administrative job in the 60s, right? And for him being Latino, Chicano at the time, I'm not sure. Maybe you can kind of, I don't know the terminology would be used. I want to ask you about school at that time. So, what was the difference? I know, we talk about segregation and some of the things happening that time. What was it like growing up in that time in the schools you were at? Or what was the temperature,
Sure.
socially?
Just like, this is back in the late 60s, 70s, a lot of segregation.
Yeah.
In fact, my hometown of Knox City, we had railroad tracks. The railroad came through. So certain class
Right.
of people lived on the other side of the tracks.
Right.
I couldn't understand that,
Right.
because I never saw that. And as far as discriminated against me,
Yeah.
it wasn't from a local people.
Right.
It was from somebody outside of our hometown. But our hometown, it was just, yes, there was a lot of, white people, Mexicanos, black people. But, we all got along.
Yeah.
But, back after I graduated, and my parents, they would tell me. They would be at the grocery stores, and they would cut in front of them.
Right.
They were second-class citizens.
Right.
But you know what? My parents were one of those. They were, like I said, they were from Duval County, very involved in not the politics of Duval at that time, but for change.
Right.
And, moving to Knox City, my dad became a council person. And my mom and dad, they voted him Citizens of the Year.
Awesome.
So for Mexicanos,
To be role models in the community.
Role models,
Yeah.
and they are role models. They were role models for all of us.
Awesome.
Not just for me,
Yeah.
but for my friends and for the people to see.
Yeah.
And that they just instilled in us that we're all human, and and we got to treat each other with respect.
Dude, I love that. That's awesome. So there were pillars in the community,
Yes,
voted
there were.
in right there.
And in the church too.
That's awesome.
We were involved in the church, and I just remember being an altar boy, and if it was during Easter and Station to the Cross, the priest would, that incense. Oh, I could just smell that incense, and just, but yeah, we were very involved. In fact, I went back home 2 weeks ago for a funeral. A family friend passed away, and still at that church. And my dad has been gone since 1995, but they have a little stone and says, his name.
That's awesome.
And he says, "Don't look here, look around."
Love
So there were pillars in the city,
Yeah.
and in the church.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I feel you're in the same boat, man. The legacy continues. I really feel like in the school, you're a pillar to the community, to the ISD. And I think, as your career progresses, man, I think, you're definitely in that same spot. I think they did a good job.
Well, you know what? As being a Phi Cap, I live our motto every day.
Yep.
Give, expecting nothing thereof.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's talk about that. So that gets me to college. So the 60s, right? You're at University of Texas.
No. In the 70s.
Okay,
Come on now. You know, that's when we had hair, you know.
Okay.
But
1970s.
I graduated in 78 from high school. So
okay.
78, and then I'm not going to really tell you when I graduated, but I did graduate, okay?
Yeah, I'm with you. So I have the same story about that year we graduate from high school, but I got the paper. It's on the wall, right? It's there for sure.
That's it, brother.
So you go to University of Texas, right? Awesome in the 70s. You're on campus, and part of how I do know you outside of school is that I'm also a Phi Cap. So I pledged to spring in '97, the Talmud chapter at UTPA. And when I was in school, it would, we look at local alumni who are Phi Caps, and you were very much still connected with like Noe Tamez and a lot of these guys in the community who were Phi Caps here locally. So we have the register of alumni who we would look at, and I was like, Celso, and I was like, is that the teacher from Memorial? I said, man, I know Celso Gonzalez. So I think it's really great. We share that in common, definitely with Phi Cap,
Yes,
being
sir.
Phi Caps. And I love the motto. I love you say that, because I say that to a lot of people, man, all the time. And that's a motto I think that was instilled, from our pledge class to the entire way through college, and what the fraternity provides for us. Let's talk about your experience in college, man. So, out of college, did you know, you said pre-med was the first idea, then you went to biology, which is kind of the same, right? You need
Yes,
that
sir.
undergrad to get into med school. Did you know in the beginning you wanted to be an educator? Maybe did the fraternity have some influence on your profession? Well, how did that instill, the ideas you do today? Because you're talking about the motto already. This is easily how many years later?
Yeah.
You're at 40 years probably,
Yes, sir.
right? And, it's still there. So, man, just talk to me a little bit about the influence, the college and the fraternity, and also that social environment. I want to talk about that too with schools. Now we talked about growing up in that community. You come out here, Austin's a mecca of just different ethnic groups and the culture shock and things like that happening with you. Tell me a little about college, man. How did that look?
It was a culture. I went from a class of 26, graduating class of 26, to my first chemistry class of 500. So, you got to adapt.
Yeah.
It's just like, as human beings, there's three things you can do. You can mutate, you can adapt,
right,
or you can die.
Like a cell.
So you got to do one of those, so I adapted. Like I said, my brother was in the fraternity, so I knew I wanted to be in a fraternity. So I pledged the first semester.
Love it.
Bottom line, it was a Texas Alpha Pi, and it was the Kappa class.
Yeah.
So if you still remember the alphabet, that's like maybe the sixth class or seventh, something like that. But very involved in my pledge class. We have our president at the time was J.J. Karam. If you go on Bicentennial and you see J.J.'s Party House,
yeah,
that's who it's named after.
There you go.
Now, J.J., let me tell you a little story about J.J. Yeah. He passed away December of when I first pledged. I believe it was a brain aneurysm, but we lived in the same apartment complex. So I was his personal slave. Bottom line. So, I washed his car, I washed his clothes or whatever, but we started, there. And the fraternity, gave me the skills to communicate, right, to be a leader. I was fortunate enough to be elected president of the fraternity. And
what year was that?
That was in 1981.
Okay. Is that still your freshman year?
No. That was about the third
junior senior year.
Let me see. Yeah, it was in 81.
Okay.
It was the second or third year. I was decided. It's time to be a leader, and you got to replace yourself, like as always. So, and we did, and the fraternity, the skills it gave me, and the brotherhoods that I met. We're still in communication to this day.
Yeah.
And but you know what? It's just being part of the leadership committee or the team. We were able to go to different conventions and conferences and stuff in Louisiana and wherever. So we met other brothers that had the same goal. We might have been a different skin color or
Right.
whatever, but we never saw it that way. We were all Phi Caps.
Right. All brothers, man.
All brothers.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think the fraternity, they really helps you be more rounded as a student. And I always tell everybody, like, hey, you normally after high school, you go to school, you go home. You go to school, you go home. And now you have something. Now when you go to school now, you have this a little more structure. You have something to go into, be excited about. You go to school, you do your fraternity activity, you come home, you do activity, and on top of like the fundraising and the volunteer hours, the social part of it too, I think it makes them for a more complete student. So I always tell everyone, check them out, check out the fraternities, see what they're about. Some are social fraternities like ours, some are like where they're co-ed and they're just kind of clubs, but there's always a scene there for someone to get involved. And, I'm always promoting that, especially with the kids now.
That's awesome, Michael, because you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be involved.
Yeah,
You got to be involved. And when you're involved, and then those skills will be carried with you. And then if you want to be involved in your community and your church, it's just, you got to be involved.
Yeah, I think, I feel too, when you're talking about through college, being in that leadership role, deciding to take that role, dealing with a bunch of personalities, traveling out to conferences, meeting people from different places, you're just building up like that social lubricant, like that idea, right? Like how to get along with people and learning different personalities, different cultures, and how to connect and how to relate and how to have open conversations and really listen. And so all those things are awesome, because once you put yourself in that leadership role, man, you start learning, and it's just a journey forever, man.
And then once you continue that role, it's going to be natural.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're, where it takes you.
Yeah.
It's a natural. And I think going back, the spirit in me or whatever. One of my parents way back, said, Coach Celso, you know what? He said, you're filled with the Holy Spirit. You're just a good person, and I took that to heart, because, there's people that are in need that are worse off than we are. So, I mean, it's fun. It's fun, Michael.
Man, I love it. So we go there, we leave the University of Texas, you go to Mission, you apply Travis Middle School, man. So I went to Lamar, right? So Lamar, Travis, and Lincoln, those three schools in McAllen were rough. Those were rough schools, right?
You better believe it.
Those were very rough schools. I go by Lamar now, and it's an IB school, and it's for kids looking to get ahead. And every time I go by there, I think like, man, that's wow, how things have changed.
The walls could talk, right,
walls
Michael?
could talk, dude.
Now, who was your coach back then?
I had Oscar Diaz, Coach
Oscar
Diaz.
Coach Diaz. Did you have Fernando Rodriguez?
I did have Coach Rodriguez. And then we had Miss Orozco. I remember she was our basketball and volleyball coach.
Probably had Miss Gutierrez.
Miss Gutierrez, yes. So they were the ones. There was another coach outside. Oh, not Nava. Nava was at Wilson.
Yes.
I remember Coach Nava was at Wilson forever.
In fact, I think he just retired.
Really?
Yes.
Man, he was great. Coach Nava was absolutely great.
I know him.
Yeah, he was really great. But it was Oscar Diaz, and I can't remember.
Vega?
Maybe it was Vega. I want to say something with...
There was Vega, Boca Negra. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, I remember Diaz because he was just jacked. Oh, yeah. Oscar was just huge. We'd be in the locker room, and he looked the Hulk, man. He was just like ripped, from literally from head to toe. This guy had like 1% body fat.
I ran into him not too long ago because he'd retired, but I don't know, these retired teachers or educators, they come back and substitute. Yeah. I told myself that's why I'm in this for a long time, because when I'm ready to retire, that's it.
Done.
I'm not going back.
No more classroom.
Yes, sir. No more classroom. But yeah, that's awesome.
So you get to Travis, awesome, and then you start coaching Memorial. Okay, sure. And what was the classes that you were teaching outside
biology?
Golf? Oh, biology. Okay.
I was in biology for 25 years. I loved it.
Wow.
I mean, and about 25 years ago. Oh, I'm sorry. About 5, 6, 7 years ago, biology became a STAR test.
Okay.
For the EOC, and
right.
For you have to pass to graduate.
Right.
And being the golf coach, I was gone a lot of days.
Wow.
So jokingly, me, I told I'm jokingly with the principal. I said, these kids are missing a lot of quality education, a lot of quality instructional time, and I think I need to get out of the classroom.
Yeah.
And she agreed. and I haven't been in the classroom for about 7 or 8 years.
Wow, man.
You know, and that's probably a good reason why I'm still at Memorial, because it's, like I said, it's tough to be teaching, but you know, Memorial's been my home.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's been my home. I'm there now and seeing kids come. You know, I said, if their grandkids come, it's
time.
I mean, it's time to go. I mean, they're way, but you know, there's a lot of your generation kids are coming through, and I remember them vividly.
Yeah, you know, I think when I was at Memorial, Mr. Bowes was my science teacher. Is he still there? You know, I was coaching my son's football team, and his son. He walked in with his son. I was coaching him through flag football. All those years ago. And he didn't remember me, but I said, hey, Mr. Bowes, you know, I had you for class. Like, oh, yeah, you know, we were talking a little bit. I remember Mrs. Rios was there, and she was another biology teacher I had. And then there was Mr. Hutchinson, who was the chem teacher. He was fantastic. And then there was Mr. Zimmerman.
Oh.
And
I remember that.
Yeah, we'll skip that. But that was definitely, I can share with you. That was interesting.
Adventure.
Yeah, that was really
that was interesting.
Really interesting with Zimmerman, because he had the chem class, and I had that chem 1, chem 2 class with Hutch and Zimmerman, and you know, he didn't make it through that semester.
No, he didn't. He was something else.
He did not make it that semester. Okay, so you know, St. Memorial, and when do you start golf? Was it right away?
In 1989.
That first year?
In fact, my first. I've been very blessed to be the golf coach at Memorial High School. It's just I just won my 17th district title.
Dude! Congratulations, man.
Yes, sir. And we have one regional title under my belt, and Memorial actually has 2, but I wasn't there for the first one. But it's been a blessing. I mean, it's just they paying me to play golf.
Yeah. What?
I mean, come on. You know, back in West Texas, Mama didn't raise no fool. You know, so
it worked out.
It worked out.
So that's awesome. I saw you had a signee recently, right? Is it Stefan?
Esteban Gonzalez.
So I know him because I know his father, again, through baseball. Like our kids used to play. I think Raul is his older brother, right?
Yes, sir.
Who plays,
he's playing golf too.
And he's playing golf too, right? So I saw Raul and Stefan both get signed. Is Raul playing college?
Yes, he is.
He is, okay.
He's playing. He started at Our Lady of the Lake.
Okay.
And then now he's at Texas A&M International in Laredo.
In Laredo, awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember running to Raul. I see him at HEB every now and again. And I saw that with Stefan, and I was like, man, that's awesome. Do you know how many signees you got coming out in the last few years?
At least 6, 7.
Awesome.
You know, as to, you know, and you know, not all of them are D1s.
Yeah.
You know, I've had 3 D1s. The first one was I actually had 4. The first one was Samantha Thomas at the University of Tulsa. And then we had Dose Goldsmith, and he went to Vanderbilt.
Wow.
And then Sean Reeve went to St. Mary's. And then we had Papito Gonzalez, and then Raul, and then we had Esteban.
That's awesome, man.
But Esteban, you know, they were in baseball, you know, and I think what happened is that Raul he broke his arm or something, and it was a career change for him. So they decided golf, and they picked it up, and I'm so happy they did.
You know, that's funny because, you know, in sport, I always talk, when kids come to me, they're like, hey, well, I want to do a sport in the spring or the fall, and I always talk to them, well, you know, make sure it relates, you know, so like my volleyball girls, I'll tell them, maybe do the high jump or the triple jump or something that relates to your sport. So when you come back, you don't want to just have like opposite ends. So like the baseball guys will come in and they're like, I really want to play golf. And I'm like, oh man, that'll mess with your swing. Oh, yeah. You know, the golf swing and the baseball swing are 2 different things. So I thought, well, maybe like, you know, that's not the best idea. But I would think in Raul's case, that helped a lot, right? With Raul and Esteban having that swing, right?
And then I know when Raul was, you know, his freshman year, he played basketball, you know, and if they're going to do anything, basketball is the sport if they're playing golf, because we're off during the basketball season.
Awesome.
And they're getting conditioned.
Yeah.
You know, and so
that's a good cross training, kind of like that's a good cross training. Yeah.
You know, so but but at Memorial we like to share our athletes, and you know they'll find time. But you're correct, as far as baseball and golf, it's very difficult.
They are different. So from what I understand, I know we were trying to schedule the podcast this morning, and you told me you were reffing games. So you were calling games. So on top of this, also you're a referee. for basketball?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how long have you been doing that?
This is my 33rd year.
Dang.
33rd year. It's just I coach basketball at Travis.
Yeah.
In fact, Travis, that was my first district championship ever
Nice.
to win. It was in basketball. And in fact, one of the young men that are on the team, their son is playing for Memorial right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And doing very well.
Who's the
Keller? Okay.
Oh, Caden.
Yeah.
Caden. I trained the Mustangs.
I know Dalton is very. He was like he's a freshman, but I don't think he's playing basketball. But yeah, Caden is very.
Yeah.
And I taught their mother also, so and their mother taught my kids. So it's we're in we have kept in communication, but basketball has they're paying me to run. To condition myself. Yeah. And a lot of people ask, why do you do that? I said, well, you know what? I'm a big joker. But I can stay home and my wife can boom, 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 and I don't get paid.
Right.
So I can go basketball and they go boom, boom, boom. At least I get paid, but it's just, she's a good sport. Yeah. I mean, because the main reason why she's a good sport because she likes the checks when they come in.
Right.
And but it's I've been doing it for 30 and I love what I do.
That's awesome.
I love what I do.
So you're doing high school. I know you said you call some of the Vipers games as well. You're involved.
I'm involved. I've done some whenever RGV was like an independent for a little bit.
Right.
We did some of their games.
Awesome.
And then as far as the Vipers, I worked the table. I haven't officiated any of their games, but I've called several big games at Bert Ogden, a high school, and it's just with the basketball, it's fun.
Has it always been a passion? Was it basketball? Did you play much as a kid? Yeah,
I played. I played football. In little 1A school where Knox City, where I'm from, we played football and basketball. Now, when it came to the spring sports, they would say, okay, if you want to run track, you go over here.
Yeah.
If you want to play golf and tennis, you go over here. Yep. So I went over here. You know why? Yeah. Have you ever seen anybody smile when they're running? It doesn't look fun, right, Michael? So, so I picked up golf. Yeah. I've been playing golf since I was 6 years old.
It's awesome, man. So great. So, rolling through, so you're at Memorial, you're teaching, and this is really, I wanted you to come on the show, and I really want to talk about this, was that you're the voice for McAllen Athletics for Friday night football, whether it's Memorial, Row, or any McAllen school that's playing that night. You're the voice, man. You're the guy calling the plays, right? Calling the kids' names out. How long you been doing this, and how'd you get started, man?
Okay. Well, been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like yesterday. But back in 97, actually about 96 or 95, walked into the athletic office, and at that time, our athletic director was Poppy Rodriguez, and he was the one that hired me back in Travis, back in 86. So I just, joking, I said, hey, Coach, if you ever need somebody up in the press box, I'd like to try it. Yeah. And he said, okay, I'll take, keep you in mind. Yeah. One of the announcer got sick, and then he replaced him with his son. Yeah, okay, no big deal. And then his son got a job at the Island. So he called me up, says, are you ready? I said, ready for what? It's your time now. Do you want the press box? I said, yes, I do.
Nice.
I mean, and it's been an adventure ever since, Michael.
Man, that's great.
I've got the best seat in the house.
Yeah, for sure. Right there in the 50, right? You're up in that box. So I know your kids played football. Right. So how special is that to announce those games, when they're coming through? What was that like?
Well, you know what? It was very special. I mean, it's just a little story. Yeah. My oldest was a freshman, and Memorial was in the playoffs, and it was Bradley Stevens was a senior. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they had a playoff game in La Jolla at a neutral site or whatever, and I was lucky enough to be the announcer. Yeah. And my son, we were beating him real bad. Yeah. So the coach, started substituting. Yeah. and a freshman, my son.
Yeah.
I go, oh, and then one of my spotters said, hey, Ben's going in there. So, I had the mic. I said, and entering the game is number 53, Ben Gonzalez, and he didn't tackle anybody. He didn't do anything. And all of you could say, like, what the, and I go, he's my son.
That's my son,
and
man.
So that was a special moment. And
Awesome.
Another special moment is my middle boy, he intercepted the ball and killed Rose chances of winning. And so to call their names out is very special.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. So you've been out there just 25 years now. I know they celebrated that on the ISC. I thought it was great, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it's fantastic, and I just wish you the best of luck forward with that also. Speaking to that, so there's a game this Friday, man. Mackay is the area champs, man. They just won 2 big playoff games, which is fantastic. So Friday at 2 p.m., will we see you in the box?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Oh, yes. It just like I told everybody, said it doesn't matter who's the home team.
Yeah.
I'm going to be rooting for that home team.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard when Memorial's on the other side, but you know what?
Yeah.
I take Boxer Hernandez was my mentor.
Yeah.
And Boxer was the track coach at Memorial. And he gave me words of wisdom that I carry to this day. He told me, he said, you're a public address announcer. That means the people on the visiting side, they pay just as much money to come in and to enjoy the game and to listen to the game,
right.
Where, you don't want to be a homer. You don't want to be, one of those and so
lose someone's interest or sound partial.
Exactly. I mean, if I'm going to do that, you're not a public address. You could be the television guy,
right, or
the radio guy,
right,
but not the public address announcer.
Right.
And I took that to heart.
Yeah.
And then another word of wisdom that he gave me. He said, just pretend that everybody in the stands can't see, so they want to hear exactly this,
right.
this, and I do that every day, every play.
That's awesome. Your voice is iconic, man. Your voice is iconic, whether we know it or not, going to those games. I would go to games afterwards and you hear the voice. I think you're blended so well into that culture. When you think about football now, I'm going to tell you something. You think about football, you think about hearing the band warming up, and you start hearing the national anthem, and then you hear your voice when you say, good afternoon, welcome to McAllen Memorial Veterans Stadium, and today we have blah, blah, blah. That's a staple, man. I want you to know, that
Well,
that mixes in with the entire culture of people going in there, man. So it's awesome.
Well, when they come into the stadium, I want them to have a great experience, and what really, to me, that makes everything why I'm doing this is when you hear the kids after the game. He said, "Coach, I love the way you call it."
That's awesome, man.
So that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's not about me.
Yeah.
It's not. It's about those kids and the coaches.
Awesome. Man, well, I want to say thank you so much, Celso, for taking time to come out. And I want to ask a favor. I don't want to put any pressure on you, man, but I would love to get one of those outros that you do in the stadium just for maybe a good afternoon or the welcome, goodbye, the Biodynamic Athletic Podcast, Mike Garcia, something. Can I get a little piece in that voice? Yeah?
I sure will. Okay.
Let's think.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium for tonight's contest between Michael Garcia and Celso Gonzalez.
Yes, I love it, man. Thank you so much. Hey, I hope to see you Friday. I know the kickoff's at 2 p.m.
Yes, sir.
And I'm rooting for Mackay. I'm a Mustang at heart. The colors of my
I got that.
Yeah, shit. Yeah,
but you know
pick
what?
Up on that, but
once MISD.
We're all in, man.
And the Valley. The Valley's it's gonna be packed.
It is.
Hopefully it's gonna be 14,000.
Yeah. Hopefully, man. It should be a really good game. Thank you again, Celso, so much, and congratulations on all your success, brother. I wish you the best.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
All right.